last year. And I have to say it's a very special experience. It was very difficult, very tough. But we're looking at a, I think, July 5th release date in mainland China. Oh, that's difficult to say. You know, every film, there's something I love about. And everything is very special to me, even though I've done like over 50 films. But I think The Last Supper and Inseparable were quite special projects for me because I think it shows the sort of maturity that I've come to as an actor. But also the very different projects than what I've done in the past, so I quite like them a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Over here, yes, please stand.
Okay, so I know you work with many like actors and actresses. So is there any like other American actor that you want to work with in the future?
Oh, there's a ton of American actors I'd love to work with.
Just name like a specific one.
Ryan Gosling, Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I don't know, there's a lot. There's a lot. I think the great thing about acting is you get an opportunity to work with people from all over the place. I did a movie last year called The Man with the Iron Fist, which is directed by RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan. It was a very special kung fu movie, but I got to do my scenes with Russell Crowe. So I got to fight Russell Crowe in that. So I got to fight the gladiator.
Really nice to have you back, so enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
I see right over there. Stand, please. Yes.
Sure, thanks.
Yeah, and our question for you is, we're having a big project this summer, iOS, and you might have heard about it. And we're wondering if you might be able to show your beautiful face. Yeah, maybe help us out a little bit. And if not, or yes, we'll talk a little bit about
Where is that going to be? Happening this summer. Unfortunately, I probably might not be able to make it because I'm producing a movie which I'm starting in the middle of June, and we're going through August. And this will be, I started a production company last year called Diversion Pictures with a friend of mine, Stephen Feng, Fengdelen. And this will be our third production that we're starting. And so because I'm a producer, I'm heavily involved in it. So it's hard for me to get away, but I can also do another video again for you guys if you like. Yeah! But you guys have my contacts. You guys contacted me last time, so just hit them up again.
Thanks, go Ducks.
Go Ducks.
Okay, over here.
Oh, sure, go ahead, go ahead.
Hello, nice to meet you. You are very handsome. I have a question about this film. The last shot, the last scene, I think is very scary. So many guns.
Oh, getting killed?
Yeah, I want to know how to act the real life.
Well, I think a lot of you may have watched a lot of my movies. I tend to die in like 70% of my movies. So I've had a lot of good experience with it. In this scene, that scene is just very complicated because there's a lot of technical things happening. You know, you have the squibs going off, you have to time your movement with that, and then the squibs going off in the chair. So it's a very complicated thing, but it's not something I'm not used to, so it's quite easy.
Right over here.
Okay, so we'll come back first. I was wondering what are some reasons that make you choose to decide to perform in movies, like playbooks and
What
are some reasons that make you choose to perform in movies, like director or playbooks or...
Yeah, no, I think it's a combination of things. I think it's script, the cast, my fellow cast, and the directors. And I think nowadays, you know, I've done 50-something films now, so for me it's really important that the project is fun and that I'm passionate about it. Yeah, and well, like this project, for example, Overheard 1 was the first time I worked with Felix Chong and Alan Mack, who wrote Infernal Affairs, which became The Departed. So I'd always wanted to work with them. I've known them for a long time, and when they approached me about the project, I immediately promised them to work on it. My role in the first one's a lot smaller, and then after we finished that first one, I kind of jokingly said to them when they said they were going to do part 2, I was like, you better give me a meatier role. And then they actually made my character sort of the main storyline of the film. So we'll see what happens in part 3. Yeah.
Anything back there? Yes, back there.
I have a question about when you were in UO, how do you think your life in UO? I know you're architecture student,
No, we didn't sleep in the studio. We stayed up for like 3 or 4 nights in a row. Yeah. I really enjoyed my experience here, and especially in the architecture department, because I've said this a million times, is that if I didn't go through the architecture department, I probably wouldn't be here and be able to bring this kind of film to you. I think what the architecture department taught me was a creative process. And whether you apply it to architecture or design or acting or directing or filmmaking, I think the process is very similar. I think directing and being an architect is very similar, because an architect, you have an idea, you sketch it out, and then eventually you draw up a plan, and the plan is what you use to get builders, electricians, specialists to come and help you build this building. Directing is very much the same, movie making is very much the same thing. A director has an idea, it becomes a synopsis, the synopsis then becomes a script, and the script is something that he uses to go to get actors, cinematographer, art department to come help make the story true. And tomorrow I'll be showing a film at the Bijou, which is a film I directed. When I approached that project, I approached it the way I approached an architecture project. In a building, you create rooms, and each room has a special emotional experience for people. And I think filmmaking is the same way. And when I devised scenes for the movie, I looked at each scene as actually making a room or making a space, and something emotional happens in each sequence. So then you put that together, and then it becomes a whole, like a building. So it's a different medium, but it's the same kind of creative process. And again, like if I didn't have that foundation that the really great professors at U of O taught me, I don't think I'd be here today.
Okay, over there and then over there, but first up there. Yes, yes, yes.
Jiao. No, really, it was a very tough field to be in. I mean, a tough major to have, because you never get any sleep, you never leave Lawrence Hall. But that's what I loved about it. I loved that passion that we all had for the subject, and no matter how difficult it was, we were able to get through it all. And that's why I like filmmaking too, is because actually the reason why I didn't become an architect, I shouldn't be telling you this because you're going to be an architect. You will be an architect. The reason why I didn't go into architecture is because the field wasn't as creative as the school experience was. But filmmaking, my first day on my first movie on set, I realized it was the same environment as a studio, but a little bit larger. It was like 50 people from all walks of life. You got lighting crews that are blue-collar guys, and you got art department that are intellectuals, and we're all passionately working on one thing, which is trying to make this movie. And that environment really was a mirror of what was happening to me in school. So stick it out, tough it out, and you'll be a successful architect. Especially if you go back to China now, you'll get a lot of work. Yeah.
It's over there, yes?
So have you ever considered to develop your film career in the United States?
Yeah, I've never actively sought out to be, look for a career in Hollywood, but recently I did a film last year called Europa Report, and that was my first kind of American film in America. And it's basically about 6 astronauts flying to the moon of Europa, which is off of Jupiter. And we know now that moon, Europa, has ice and water on it, and what they're going to see is if there's life there. But to get there, it takes 2 years, and it's about what happens to these 6 people in a small space shuttle as they're going to Jupiter. So that, to me, it's not really about getting into whatever markets. For me, it's about working on projects that are meaningful to me and interesting to me. And the reason why I did that project is because we don't do sci-fi movies in China. And we don't have that genre in China. And so it's a genre I really like to watch. So for me to have an opportunity to be in a sci-fi movie was really exciting, and so that's why I did it. So really, it's not about where or if it's Hollywood, because I don't really necessarily think Hollywood is better than anywhere else. I think it's about the quality of the project and who you're working with.
It's in the middle over there.
First, I really like almost every movie you act in. Unfortunately, I don't know their names. And second, today is my roommate's birthday.
Where's your roommate? Raise your hand. 生日快乐. Happy birthday. In the red?
In the white.
Okay, yeah, sure. Hello, there.
I want to ask, since Eugene is quite different from Hong Kong, so which city you love the most as a celebrity right now? You want to spend a peaceful life here, or you love to live in Hong Kong?
Oh, gosh, it's hard to, it's different, you know, like Hong Kong is a very great place to be right now. It's an exciting place to be because of what's happening in China. There's a booming economy, there's a booming film industry, and everything's very fast-paced there, and it's great when you're young. I'm getting older now, I'm almost 40. And so I'm looking to sort of slow down my life a little bit, and so that fast pace sometimes is a little bit tiring. So I'd like to move back to the States eventually one day. Eugene, I really love being here. I love being in the outdoors environment. When I was going to school here, other than the Wushu Club, which I started here, I went mountain biking, rock climbing, hiking, and did all that kind of stuff, which I didn't do so much growing up in California. And I really miss that about Hong Kong, because it's very hard to do that kind of stuff in such an urban environment in Hong Kong. So it's really more of a schizophrenic relationship. I like all those places a lot, and they all mean something special.
Okay, over here, yes, and then over here. First you, yes, in red.
I read a movie showing last great car, single ladies or single men.
单身男女, yeah. Don't go breaking my heart was the English name. Sure, no.
Yeah. You studied architecture when you in Europe, and in that movie.
I played an architect.
Yeah. Do you think that your point or director's point is kind of a way to realize your dream maybe several years ago, many years ago?
Well, yeah, it was interesting when Johnny To asked me to do that movie. He told me the character was an architect and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, did you design this character for me? Because I studied architecture and he didn't know that. So it was cool for me because I didn't have to do so much research. You know, I had gone through 5 years of architecture school in Oregon. I think that was plenty of research enough. But the interesting thing is that in the movie you see a lot of the sketching. Like he actually made me do all the sketches for that movie. So like he made me design the building, and he made me do all the sketches. So like actually one day, on the day that we were filming the sketches for that scene, actually he didn't want to film for 3 hours, and he made me sit there and draw for 3 hours before we could start filming that scene. So it was an ironic coincidence, yeah. Thank you.
Over here, yes. All right, yes.
I want to ask what activity you going to do with us tomorrow after the movie?
Repeat that.
Will you come back next time?
Tomorrow, I unfortunately have to head back to Hong Kong tomorrow. Like I said, that production I'm working on, we start pre-production on Monday, so I have to be there for that. And so I have to rush back to Hong Kong, unfortunately.
Can we meet you tomorrow after the movie?
I'm not sure, because I'm going to be heading to the airport soon, so we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for coming tomorrow. And I don't know when I'll be back to Eugene, but hopefully soon. Yeah.
Hopefully.
Maybe next year for the next Simba Pacific Festival.
All right. You want to bring the Last Supper, hopefully. Yes, back there.
Yes. Sorry. Well, let me ask you a question. Are you passionate about movies? Are you passionate about filmmaking?
Actually, I really love the movies.
And do you have the endurance to deal with making movies? Because it's a struggle. You have to fight.
Yeah, actually, I studied at the direction at Australia.
Mm-hmm.
会让帮我拍，这你就像别按哈，手算死，他得帮我
Okay.
拍一个，拍美一点的。
Well, all I have to say is that if you're passionate about it, stick with it. If you think it's just something fun that you want to do, it's going to be a very difficult journey. But if you have the talent and you have the passion and the drive, you can do it, I think. And, you know, the China film industry is growing by 30–40% every year. So I think there's lots of opportunities for people like you who studied abroad and maybe going back to China and want to make films in China. I think